Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are a couple days removed from the latest balance patch that saw a ton of change. No Reno decks will be recommended, no big spell mage, but still a lot of familiar faces, alongside some of the new stuff is thriving that you can take and reasonably expect to climb with, whether it's to silver, gold, platinum, diamond, or legend. We're going to recommend a deck for every class in standard, as well as wild's rough, but we'll have decks to recommend in wild. And as always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, if you like ever earn your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as we're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. And before we get into the decks, I do want to give a disclaimer. I think the meta is completely unsolved. Things are changing a lot. Things are being refined. I will likely do an update video next weekend on the updated best decks, but craft at your own risk. But for starting from top to bottom, we'll be going from the best decks to the worst. And yes, Zarimi Priest appears to be one of the best decks in standard, at least diamond through legend. It's doing pretty well at legend too. Orbital Halo, this new card, is to me just kind of busted. Can create just crazy openers where if it's beside a 1-drop, you play this and you have like a nearly unkillable 1-drop for a couple of turns, and then you can snowball from there. Of course, you got like the dragons. The version of like this version is built more to be like, it's got Zarimi, but you have like some more sticky stuff like Shadow Ascendant, Dreamboat's been a normal one there, but overall it plays more like a token-based aggro deck that eventually could play Zarimi for an extra turn. You could, of course, put your Thirsty Drifters in there, get your Zilliax with Pylon and Ticking Module in there. I've got my Diamond Amethyst, which I don't think I've actually played once. It's pretty crazy. And our ETC has a Deafened, Creation Protocol, and Hot Coals. And yeah, Zarimi Priest doing well. Not exactly new, but yeah, it does run one really cracked new card that could do some work. So yeah, something to check out if you like that. Nostalgia Shaman got nerfed twice. It is arguably, again, the best deck in standard. Yes, Molten Magma got hit. It no longer goes face. It is absolutely worth playing. And Wave of Nostalgia got bumped to 6. It is also really worth playing because like Threads of Despair, which I'm not recommending a single slower Deathlight list today, which bums me out, but they're not doing well because Threads at 3 was a kind of a threat to this, as well as Reno getting nerfed. Again, not recommending Reno. These boards that stick around are more likely to stick around. All these different tokens. And then, yeah, you get those random legendaries. The only new card in here, of course, is the absolutely cracked Ethereal Oracle, which is just one of the best cards of the entire expansion and basically unchanged from the nerfs and all that, and still all over ladder. I'm sure you're still seeing it. And yes, it is certainly worth playing. Asteroid Shaman is showing a good win rate at every rank bracket. Definitely has been more streamlined to be no Bundu, no more late game outside of your top end of Shutter Block Incendious. And yeah, you want to Shutter Block either like Bullite Behemoth or Incendious and then Magatha and just do insane amounts of damage. Because yeah, if you hit an asteroid, you hit Interruption, it doesn't count as like something you give to your opponent. You just cast it and still draw a card. It's super strong. The only issue with this deck, it takes a while to get going, so the aggression can really get to it. You do have early game clears, of course, Molten Magma with all the spell damage, but overall, if you're looking for just one Shaman deck you want to climb with, Nostalgia is still the way to go, but people have had some serious success with Asteroids. It's fun to play, not necessarily fun to face. Modern Hearthstone in a nutshell. Libram Paladin continues to be refined. I had a list yesterday that seemed pretty good. It's still doing pretty well. I'm going to highlight a different version. If you want to try out the version we had in a gameplay video yesterday, still think it's valid. This version ditches the Liadrin and goes in on Sunsapper Lanessa, because you can combo that the same turn on 10 mana with Leroy Jenkins and then get a bunch of damage with Libram of Divinity. Or, of course, you could just get a bunch of damage with Lanessa doubling up on the Holy Glow Sticks, O Manager, Divine Bruise. So it's like a mix of like the Libram, or not the Pipsy OTK you kind of had mixed with the Libram package, which is very solid with Interstellar Star Slicer being an incredible buff. You want that weapon as soon as possible. It is so strong. It gets everything going. And then, yeah, you're kind of off to the races. Another difference, we got Living Horizon, because you do draw a lot of cards in this deck and 1 Prismatic Beam to try and give you some more AoE. But yeah, looking for Libram's legitimate archetype. It's not going anywhere. You're going to be seeing Librams a lot on ladder for quite some time. Dungar Druid seems to be the best Druid out there. Pure scam deck. You look at this mana curve, it is absurd. It's all in. Find your ramp, find your trail mix, try and get Dungar, you win the game, basically. That you play Dungar, the game is over. You play early because you cheat out like just gigantic crap and your opponent can't come back from it. You can bring stuff back with Hydration Station, and you have Oaken Summons into your Defense Crystal. Some people run the 6/8 Forge card too, but this version was the highest win rate one I could find. And again, pure scam. You can see that there's not much validity to it outside of that, but it wins. It does well enough. The other version of the other deck, you could go back, look at our gameplay video on the Taunt Druid, the Starship Druid with Kill Jaden. That's probably the second best Druid deck. Third best, probably Reno Druid. It's still playable. You could still play a Reno Druid, but it's probably the worst of those options. For Mage, Big Spell Mage, definitely dead. No con man spam. Doesn't really work out. But Elemental Mage is still a good deck. It's still competitive, viable at like every rank bracket. Lamplighter seems to be still worth running. 4 mana, 4/4, deal 4 now, instead of like basically infinitely scaling damage as long as you have the turns and the elementals to play. But yeah, you still could just get insane early boards with Arqua Archivist, your Flame Revenant, into your Surgers, and then you have the high roll with Sarun, where you could, again, like just completely murder your opponent with damage, especially if you manage to hit that Surger and Blazing Accretion. Still a very, very strong card. And yeah, Elemental Mage is still worth playing. You just don't win as hard, I guess, as before. Lamplighter isn't quite the finisher it used to be, but worth running for some tempo. The only Deathlite deck, yeah, Threads getting hit really hurt. 2 to 3 has been a very big deal. I'm sad. Now I'm like, can we unnerf that? Because I am very biased towards Deathlite. And the only version I'm finding that's doing well is just the Double Frost deck, right? It didn't get nerfed too hard. Ruska went from 0 to 0, basically. Really, really minor nerf to that card. And it's the same thing we've seen for a while. This version runs like hell, yeah. Plus down with the ship, and we got the Razzle Dazzler stuff in there. Marrow Manipulator does a bunch of damage. The location does damage. But overall, we've seen this list for quite some time. And it just makes me sad that, yeah, the Starship stuff and all that doesn't seem good enough because Threads got hit. It's such a big deal with everything. It just feels like now Deathlite can't keep up with all the aggression. Because if you note, well, these are all aggressive decks. There's like almost no slow decks this meta. So far, it's early, but it's a lot of aggression. However, one slower deck, Wheel Warlock, still seems to be all right, running the whole Kill Jaden, and look at all these expensive cards, the Ceaseless Expanse, the Nodum, which of course goes to 0 if you wield, and Kill Jaden hasn't been played yet. Ziliax has got the Twin Module, Perfect Module. You really want your Forge of Wills and your Dark Alley Pack to get those giant demons with Taunt and then bring them back with Endgame. And yeah, your late game win condition is either destroy them with the Wheel of Death, win with Sargeras, or win with Infinite Demons and Kill Jaden. There's a lot of rad late game in the deck. You just got to survive to get there. That could be a challenge, but the deck is still got a positive win rate, still working out all right, and one that I'm probably going to maybe make another video on at some point. We'll see. I do have plans for videos coming in the near future. One of them will be Discover Hunter. I haven't tried this out yet. Maybe expect a video on this tomorrow. I know a lot of people have done really well. Very aggressive deck. It really abuses Rengari Scout, getting the double Discover, because it's all about trying to get, you could get like a Mantle Shaper, cheat out a bunch of those for 0. You can of course cheat out Alien Encounters. You could cheat out a Ziliax Pylon Ticking Module. Like you could double up on those things and really get going. And it's all very aggressive Grifta. You can discover and get double of the 6 damage like Rogue, all that going on. And it looks kind of weird, but it's a very aggressive based token deck that is trying to win fast with Agrimar basically being a finisher. I'll try and get a video out on this. I'm going to try and play it. I haven't seen a lot of people playing though, but in my Ben from work, he's always high legend in Standard Wild, is saying this deck is pretty cracked, and the win rates that I've seen so far seem to be showing that. Better than Starship Hunter, which started off really strong day 1, has already fallen off quite a bit. Starship Rogue seems to be getting as we go along. I will have a video on this list later today. Very salty, very widey on stream, but we did really well. I went like 7-3 with this list. There might be a list that's even better with Grifta I want to try out first. I think it cuts tests for Grifta, but then we're just going to the Sonya spam with Grifta, and I don't like that. But overall, people have built it to be a bit more tempo based. So we have like Kajamite Creation, Quick Pick, Velorock. It's like a hybrid. You win with either the Burgle Velorock kind of shenanigans, or you can straight up OTK in the late game with Exodar and of course Ceaseless, like blowing up your own starship or clearing the board and then doing a ton of damage with the Exodar on your starship. This deck is definitely more of a fringe recommendation, but it seems to be legitimate and it's really fun to play if you have the cards. So it's lower on my list, but yeah, Starship Rogue might be valid. And the better Rogue decks, if you really want to play, you could look for Weapon Rogue lists. Sadly, Weapon Rogue seems to be good again. And yeah, I want to recommend the more fun deck this time around. So yeah, check out later today, gameplay video coming up. Warrior, the best performing Warrior deck does seem to be Mech Warrior, similar to the early Axis Tavern Brawl deck, right? Where you cheat out your Zilliax and bring it back with Inventor Boom, Hydration Station. I got Marin in here for some value and much more of, again, a pretty scammy deck. Testing Dummy can do insane damage, of course, coupled with Boom Wrench. So if you're looking for more of a Warrior deck, Odin Warrior got hit with the latest patch. Doesn't seem to be doing as well as the pure scams, because yeah, Chemical Spill into Ankiliac, the Virus Module, Perfect Module, still a very, very disgusting interaction. And last, Demon Hunter. Yeah, don't go sus. Don't go with the crewmates. If you want to play Demon Hunter, Pirates are still the way to go. Not really running any new cards. Starship stuff, probably not worth the cut in it. And yeah, that Demon Hunter kind of in a sad state. This set, not looking great. I don't know how you make those crewmates good, by the way. No idea. Video for another day. So those are the standard decks. And in Wild, I'm going to put out a disclaimer here. The Demon Seed, I think by far the best deck in Wild. It got put over the top recently with Hearthstone, right? Hearthstone, so you do your big Dark Lair turn and you fully heal, so you don't even have the downside of putting yourself low to get out your giants and all of that. I'm going to put a disclaimer out though. This deck's probably going to get nerfed next patch. It's exhibiting all those signs of completely meta warping, extremely high win rate, locks out tons of archetypes. We saw it with like Quest Mage back in the day. We've seen it with a Demon Seed back in the day. I would be very surprised if this doesn't get hit in the next balance patch. And yes, I know it's Wild, but they've been taking more care of Wild, and I have reasons to believe that yes, this card, the Demon Seed, not around it. I don't think they'll nerf around it. I think this will get hit. So again, craft at your own risk if you want to play Wild. But yeah, this list doing really well. Demon Seed, one of the best decks in the format, if not the best. Ironically, Shadow XL, yes, Renathal Shadow Priest, not just regular Shadow Priest. Renathal has the best win rate for Shadow Priest. But yeah, if you want to play this, it seems to be better than regular Shadow Priest. If not, you can play the usual versions we recommend. We got like Narian here for like some extra value. ETC, we got Amenthul, Lotheb, and Ashen to try and get through Ice Block, but it's the same deal. You play your early game and try and kill your opponent, but yeah, apparently it is worth playing Renathal, which is kind of wild, kind of crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean that. It is wild, but you know what I mean. That's pretty crazy. Big Shaman, one of the best decks too, because it could scam out one of these big cards on turns like 3, 4, and then you win. And if you don't, you lose. That's the deck, but it's consistent enough that it competes and is one of the only other top tier decks. There's not many in Wild right now. It's really rough. The Demon Seed does not allow much to breathe, because like you clear their board, sure, and then they kill you with infinite damage. So what are you gonna do, right? Pirate DH, again, trying to kill people fast. It's a pirate aggro deck. It's the usual deal. It's trying to kill these decks as fast as possible. It's one of the lesser recommended, and I saw this deck it had a positive win rate. So I'm going to throw it out there. Pure Paladin running the buffed Interstellar Star Slicer. You just want to cheat out basically Light Rays. You want to cheat out Devout Pupils and your Light Bots and get a ton of stats really early with all your holy spells and then walk people out with Cold Feet. I don't know if this deck's legit, but I saw a positive win rate with it. And Wild is such a sad state that I'm going to literally suggest anything I can that looks like it might be able to win. So there you go. Decks to climb with, whether it's standard or wild. We will likely have an updated deck video next Saturday because I just feel like a lot's going to change. I don't think this meta is set in stone at all. I think the slower decks haven't been figured out yet. I do think Death Knight in particular will find a way to return, I'm hoping. But yeah, right now, very much aggressive scams, a little bit of Starships, a little bit of Librams. But overall, yeah, it's probably not really what they're after. But for the first big patch, at least some things are moving. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Good luck on your climbs. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.